Smita.
Hi.
I think we're doing an interview after a very long time.
I am doing it after a very long time, so like giving an interview. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay.
To start.
Okay, Smita. So, first question for you is what does systemic team coaching really mean? And how is it different from individual or group coaching?
Uh, so when we think of the word system, what really comes up as a first word is really a family as a system, right? And similarly, when we think of an organization, system would really be inclusive of, you know, everything that one can really think of, like the stakeholders, the internal customers, the external customers. So anything which really helps to run a business becomes a part of a system. And when, in John Whittington's systemic coaching book, he talks of a beautiful metaphor, which is that of a peacock's tail, right? The tail of a peacock. And when we think of an individual, though we consider the individual, with all their thoughts, their beliefs, their values, and all of that, but when we can just think of that picture of the tail of a peacock and how many parts are there in that tail. So when we are looking at an individual with all that is part of the tail, then you can imagine that what one person and their system would be. So and a system really is about all these small parts with their tails really make like an entire system.
Hmm. Yeah.
Coming to the second part of your question, which is about like the group coaching and the team coaching part of it. So if you can just look at this as an example, individual coaching, we all understand, it is to explore and to bring the potential that is within an individual to the surface and operate from that space. When it is about group coaching, it can be people from different segments or different functions coming together to work for a common interest, right? And then they're not dependent on each other. Their work is not dependent on each other. Team coaching, it's a lot of interdependency. There is a shared goal, and there is a lot of interdependency that is within the people who are part of that particular team. And interdependency is not uncommon. It is through systemic team coaching is where the team coach is making them aware of those interdependencies, and so that when they have this larger eye, or the objective of that shared goal as the supreme, how we can, as part of those system, consider not just one or a single point of view, but the point of view of the system while working on the shared goal. So it is complex, it can be messy, all of that. But I think to walk on that path of complexity unravels a lot of information about that system. So whatever I'm just talking is based on what I have been experiencing when I'm working with with these few companies that I've worked with. It's complex. I mean, at the end of the day, I really understand it's as a and we are not getting into system working as a team coach or a systemic coach thinking that the process is going to be simpler. It is with the acceptance that it's the road not taken, it's complexity that we are working on together. So that's how I understand systemic team coaching, group coaching, and team coaching.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Thank you, Smita. Okay. So, Smita, in your experience, why is systemic team coaching becoming so important for organizations today?
Again, like 4 5 years back, Yamini, when I was talking to organizations to understand, the need of the leadership development programs that they used to reach out to, and a little before also than that, it was mainly seen these programs, whether it is executive coaching, mainly executive coaching. Team coaching is fairly a new, fairly a new uh, terminology. It was mainly offered to senior executives, people at the CXO level, and you know so somebody who's senior in the organization, more as a it is a privilege to be offered coaching. So in that sense, now when things are different, it's like things don't work if it is only given to a particular segment. Systemic team coaching has the ability, and it enables, uh, at every level. It enables the mindset uh, at every level. That's the power of systemic game coaching. So why it is important is because of the very common reasons that things are constantly changing, right? There is a constant discussion between in organizations, as to when Gen Zs are there and these are senior folks, and the conflict of interest, or the conflict of understanding, or the way both the Gen Zs and the others in the system who are fairly seniors in the organization work. So when that kind of a conflict happen, systemic team coaching enables to put both of them in a single place, to be saying that, again, referring to that metaphor of a peacock with that tail, saying that each one will come with their tail, which will um, contain different things, but it's like I see not just my tail, I see the tail of others as well.
Mm.
So it is definitely an agility. When we say change is the only constant, what is constantly expected from each individual is, am I being able to be agile in the way that I work? I cannot today say that I like to tell people, or it's easier for me to tell people and get the work done. I am not in that era where I can continue saying director leadership is my style and I will just stay with my style. I'm not in that era. So the environment now is asking me to listen more and accordingly be agile to be serving the needs of what I'm listening from the system. And therefore I feel that systemic team coaching again is uh, allows one to be accepting the changes happening around, enables one to be operating from that mindset, so that I can, you know, sustain the newness that everything is bringing to me. And then at the end of the day, every if you ask any person in the organization, apart from salary and apart from everything, everybody would want peace of mind and happiness. Everybody would want that, as at the end of the day, because that is what I carry to my home when I'm leaving the workplace. So can the environment in the organization be created in such a way where processes are defined, responsibilities are defined, accountability is defined, people understand each other, they are able to read the tales of each of them, and then you know keeping an eye on the objective, how is it that I can collaborate with people, right? And collaborate in such a way which is, again, that collaboration is with an objective of achieving the organization's needs. And if the organization does not sustain, does not grow, I as an individual will not be able to grow. So how can we listen to each other in such a way? And I think this process is, because it's a almost like a year-long process, the team coaching process. It enables, everybody has got those skills within.
Mm.
Over the period of time, it really enables those skills in each individual.
Mm. Absolutely. Yeah. And just curious to know this, Smita. This wasn't a part of my list, but um, As you are, working with organizations, do you see that they are becoming more aware of the fact that, just doing um, programs which are just focused on executive coaching might not work, and systemic team coaching or just team coaching might be a better option?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so when we say this, like it's not one versus the other. So it's not individual versus systemic team coaching, right? Individual coaching has its place and will always have its place to to get the best out of an individual. However, people are realizing that when I'm a part of a system, I cannot be operating solely. At some point or the other, I am dependent on something or the other. Like even if I am an individual contributor, say for example, right? I'm not working so much, collaboration and all that is not needed. My role is that of an individual contributor. Even to that person, if you say that, like what kind of an interdependency, they are in a way interdependent of the environment and the larger system that they are a part of. So team coaching again is something which, and like I said earlier, it's like it enables one to see things from multiple lenses in the system. It's not just my lens, and it's not just my lens versus your lens, but can it be
Hmm.
our lens in order to serve the internal customers, the external customers, the larger ecosystem that we are a part of.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Mhm. Okay. Coacharya has its flagship speed model for team coaching. Could you share what speed stands for and how it helps teams grow together?
Mm. So, Speed is a flagship tool award. It's an award-winning tool, which was kind of coined and framed by Ram Ramanathan, who's Coacharya founder. And I have used Speed to work with in organizations. We've worked with using Speed as a tool to um, further, like as a part of the team coaching, of course, as a part of the team coaching process. And it's like it's used over a period of 1 year. And what speed stands for is S is sharing strengths. So we start the program really with in an appreciative inquiry, where all team members who've been appointed for a particular project, who are working together for a shared goal, they would come up and share what their strengths are, and and of course keeping that objective in mind as well, as to what are some of their strengths that they have observed, what for who they are. And it's an appreciative inquiry methodology in which individuals do share about their strengths. And then post that sharing is done by the individual, very quickly in the room a few of them would also pick up on points which they have not shared, or they would like to really appreciate the person for who they are. um, and then we really start with somebody who's the junior most in the room, so that what happens is, like if a senior most person starts, then it becomes almost like a format that the senior most person has used, and everybody would just kind of copy it and use the same format. But we want to be very organic in this, and ask people, the junior most, to start. Or sometimes we also say that like pick up people who can really be vulnerable, so that they set the stage to say that vulnerability really helps each other, the team members to connect with each other. And so it starts at that level, where a couple of them would just then, in an appreciative inquiry, either ask something or appreciate them for something. And then people in the team, that we take turns in the team to complete this process of sharing strengths, and the others acknowledging, applauding, and appreciating the person. What we have, in 99% of the cases, what we really see happening there at this stage, it's almost like a day long's work, when it is 12 to 15 or 20 people going through this process of team coaching. So 99% of the times we see that people end up in tears, and they become really emotional because when you're sharing about yourselves and what you've gone through to where you're standing today, right? That may be a journey of ups and downs. And when a person shares things about themselves, it is again creating that kind of an environment where people connect with each other beyond their identity card. It's, till maybe till now I knew that you have a cat, you have a, you stay with your father, you have a sister who's staying outside of India. So maybe these just on the surface things I would know. But when that process happens, then I kind of understand you little bit more than what I already know about you. And then this in the entire speed process, rest everything would go very smooth. Like once if this process has really happened with the intention that this is there in this process of speed, then we know that people connect at a different level. All of that was part of their ego, or always categorizing or bucketing people to be saying that this person is like this only, or this that person is like this only, things like this. The narrative around with which we talk about people really change. It's like accepting, you the, if I am that peacock who can accept my tail, I'm also that peacock now who accepts your tail, right? That is what happens once this process is done well. So in speed, S is about sharing strengths, P is about presenting the future, E is establishing, exploring options, and the other E is establishing a structure, and D is about developing and designing action steps. So the PEED are almost like the GROW framework in coaching, which most of the coaches and most of HR or organizational leaders all will understand that GROW is a framework which we use in the space of coaching and mentoring. So it is about identifying what that point B will be. So if we are working with an organization who is looking at increasing their target revenue by X percentage, then that becomes presenting the future, right? Like or if they have a team who is great when they work in silos, and their point B is to be collaborative, so that becomes your presenting the future. So whatever the future looks like for the team is B. All right. Then it's about, so E is the exploring option. So again, that's about, from the current reality to where you want to go, there can be multiple paths to reach to your point B. However, to that system, that system which is a part of those individuals who are becoming collective as one single unit, what is their unique path to be reaching that point B is that exploration that we do, right? And when that exploration happens, it's like, are you considering all the voices in the room which are important, which is not just the voice of these 20 people or 15 people present in the room, but the voices of the customers who are not here in the room, the voices of your stakeholders who is not in the room, the voices of maybe fear, the judgments, and all these intangible aspects which is not seen. Yeah, these are all the hidden dynamics in the system. So the process of speed has that power to explore these hidden dynamics and bring to the surface so that something can be done about it. That's the power of again, the exploring options that we do. It's not like a simple, okay, how will you reach? What are the paths for you to reach from A to B? But what are we considering as important factors to be evaluated to move from that point A to point B? So, and it's like, so there are various tools that we use in the process, which helps us to further solidify this process of speed, right? Now, the other E in it is about establishing a structure. So once you know that, here is where the path looks like, then you kind of put a structure saying, okay, who is accountable for what, who will do what, all that, responsible, accountable, all those defining of roles and responsibilities. And then is about D, which is designing action. So we clearly define action steps that has to be taken care of. So speed in a way is like that tool, which is like a holistic tool, which connects people with one another at the S level. And then is the part around PEED, which takes care of actioning, exploring options, all of that.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Smita. Yeah. Um, so how do models like speed, theory U, or six thinking hats come alive in your sessions with participants? And here, I think what we're focusing on is the program that is coming up, the level 2 program. So how do you think all these will look like in your sessions?
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, so it's like an organic, segue we are making into these tools. So um, now, if we look at theory U, it's a change management tool, right? And we know that any organization, whether it is for team coaching, executive coaching, or whatever it is, they primarily reach out to us for a change that they would like to see in themselves, in their system, collectively as a unit. So theory you really helps one to understand that change is not like it's not linear. So if I want to go from point A to point B, it's not like I can straight away jump and reach there, but it takes the form of a U. And we do cover Otto Scharmer's theory U to be explaining this process as to how each step of whether it is downloading the existing patterns, being pausing and presencing is a very important step there in the theory U process. And then about prototyping. So it cannot be like you want change, so you want from silo to collaborative. It's like in every aspect you ask people to collaborate, but instead can we pick up on small things in which there can be collaboration first, test it out to see how that works, and then talk about bigger things. So prototyping becomes an important aspect. So theory U definitely is an additional tool that we use, and especially like when I was explaining about the exploring options of the speed process or establishing a structure, at these stages where we use theory U to really help them to say that, okay, now that you have decided that you want to go from here to here, where is it that you need to it's important for you to focus on downloading existing patterns, which when things are like as patterns, you don't even feel anything weird about it because it's so much, it's a part of a system that it doesn't even feel weird to us. So, but keeping an eye again on that point B, what looks like needs to be changed. You mentioned about six thinking hats. There again, six thinking hats, multiple voices, all of these additional tools that we use. Six thinking hats is a beautiful process where it is about saying that, every function of that hat really matters. Because what happens when you're sitting in a boardroom brainstorming ideas, say for example, and there is one person who you have already categorized and bucketed as someone who's pessimistic. Okay. And the person brings in again all the pessimism in the room, and then we say that, this person is too negative, only talks negative. Whereas this process of six thinking hats has created a function of the hat, which is about the black hat to be talking about problems and saying that anticipating problems is a key for any decision making. So what we applaud really is the green hat, say for example, which is more into the creative thinking. However, what is the use of creativity if the black has not given all their uh, you know the things that may not work, or things which we have to be careful about, or the problems that we are anticipating as the anticipating. So it's like all, and also one of the other common things is about women leaders being in the room, and they talking about their feelings and stuff, that say I feel anxious or I feel overwhelmed or something around feelings. I wouldn't even say just women, but in general people talking about emotions. And things have changed now, but there were times where, people used to say, keep your emotions away or keep it at home when you come to work. Things don't work like that. Emotions are, are such a key factor. So here in this process of the six thinking hats, the red hat really plays a role of exploring emotions as well. So all in all, what I'm saying with this process that we use is to say that all of the functions of these hat matters for any decision making. And then again, we integrate it as a part of our team coaching process and use it. So in the training program, Yamini, others, whoever joins, they are up for some, treat, so to say, if I can say that. So we will bring in such examples and case studies to be sharing stuff related as to how we use these tools.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it would be very helpful to the participants as well, because it sounds like, it really is needed as part of the training program. So yeah, I'm excited for the participants, if I can say that. Okay. Okay, Smita, next question is, can you share an example of how systemic team coaching has created a real shift for a team you have worked with?
Okay, I mean, this example, this case study is also there in our ICW webinar, which is about a company who really, their prima facie goal was to move the mindset of the team and functional heads from being siloed to being collaborative. Like that really was the need. Of course, when we worked on with a tangible goal, there was a revenue target that they had in mind, and they did share that. But overall, the CEO had clearly told us that it's okay if we come close to it and not exactly that as well. But if we can shift the mindset of the individuals and see the benefit of collaboration versus consider that being silo can only help us to reach up until a point. But if you're really looking at reaching a point beyond that, collaboration is the only way out. So what we had seen shifting in 1 year of our team coaching engagement with them was the team members would send emails, like long essay emails, and just wait for responses, and expecting that the person who's received the email can calibrate all the information in that essay and respond within a particular time. And they wouldn't, right? And things would just get postponed because I have written that essay thinking that the other person is understanding that. However, they didn't. What changed in their process is they don't write essays now. If they have a question, if they are stuck up, they immediately pick up a call, ask if they are available for a quick clarification, take the clarification and move on. So a lot of changes that they say has been seen because of this small shift that they said they would do. And when we were when we were going through this team coaching program with them, and we would explore as to what really comes in their way, a couple of these points were coming up, saying a few people would find it very their ego would hurt to reach out for help. They would feel very like, so that really means that they would consider the other person, maybe the other person who they have to reach out is new in the system, right? So somebody who's just passed out or just has 2-3 years of experience versus me who has 25 years of experience. So I find very difficult, and it hurts my ego to reach out to someone who is coming with 2 years of experience. And there again, we got a feedback saying that the thought process that they had around this, they have kind of reframed things for themselves. What they said is like, with 25 years of experience, I may be having experiential learnings of the system that I am a part of, and here is this new person who has some new learnings from their academic background, or is coming with a fresh pair of eyes to be viewing the same problem, and they can bring up new perspectives. So can I at least give my ear to hear as to what that new perspective is? That does not mean I necessarily have to accept it, but can I at least engage in that conversation to be understanding what this new person is bringing to the table? And the CEO said that, if you ask me to as what broad goals I have achieved, I may not be able to tell you what broad goals, because their target revenue was uh, too high, and to aim for. So any which ways, that was not their actual need. They have reached close to that, but what they got benefited is with these small little changes in the system, which is a cultural change that they are bringing in the system. So it's the CEO minus one who's implementing these changes. Now, think of people who are working under them. They would not shy away from calling another one, and get the work done sooner than later. And then, consider the opinions of the others while you're wanting to, without feeling that, okay, my ego is getting hurt. So these are like the two examples which are shared by the company themselves. So we have observed it ourselves. In the first day, when the sharing of strengths in the speed process was going on, there was one leader who was really not into it. Like, he came in the program thinking that, you know I am now 30 years in the system. What will these external team coaches come and do that, things would change internally? So there were four round tables in the room, and this one person was really sitting like this, right? Like, so not a part of the circle, but sitting really looking outside of the circle. And at the end of the day one, where the speed process ended, he at the end of the day came and spoke to the team coaches. We had just, he had some doubts. Day two started by him being in the circle, right? So he was a part of the circle. Nothing had to be said, or nothing can be said there. It can be just felt that, something in day one happened that made this person to be a part of the system. And from their entire team, we got couple of feedback saying that, like, we as a team, a lot of these small little changes are being observed. The other and the third last important point that I would say here is that they wouldn't give feedback to each other. Feedback was really not seen as a culture there, because again, when I'm 25 years, 30 years in the system, who can give me a feedback? Like, I'm a know-it-all person, and I don't need a feedback, so to say. But what they really said is that, what the other thinks of me, and maybe what the other would give me as a feedback may help me in the way that I operate. So when I'm a part of the system, can I listen to the others and gel in the system to be operating, so that, and that they were considering as a part of collaboration. So then again, we were having this brainstorming, saying, how do you want to receive the feedback? Like, do you like verbal feedback? Like, now that you want to introduce as a new thing in your system, how do you want to see it? They said, no, we still don't want names. If it can be just given to me anonymously, then I would just receive it, and I would receive it wholeheartedly. And we said, okay. I mean, that shifted a lot, shifted in the way that they were seeing. So yeah, these are the changes, Yamini, that we have observed.
Wow, that's amazing. Loved the chair. Loved. I think that was things like those really matter when it comes to such programs. That somebody automatically, just something happens to them and they become a part of the you know uh, team or the process. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, okay. Last question, Smita, would be, if someone is new to systemic team coaching, what is the one mindset or principle that you would encourage them to start with?
So, it's, if we just say mindset, I think that is in itself a whole lot of definition, I think. Uh, I'm not sure one mindset, what can I cover in there, but it's really about for one to be open to say that, and curious to say that, as much as you come with that, the peacock's tail, and there are many things in your tail that you are not aware of, right? Like in my tail there are many things which are there, and I'm not aware of all of that. The same thing is with the other. So but when I have to work with the other, can that acceptance be, and can I be curious to say that, maybe for how they are operating, it's because of one of those tales, but it's not casted on stone. Everything has potential, and we work better when we are interdependent, and considering that interdependence is the only way for growth. So if that kind of an approach be taken, I mean, I can be great, right? I can be great contributor, but I am not enough. If that can be like one learning for all of us, then I know that, I can reach only that thus far. But if I am that system, I can reach to a you know to a greater objective.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Smita, for doing the interview and sharing what you would be bringing to the table with this level 2 program as far as systemic team coaching is concerned. It was really nice hearing from you about all the things that you're passionate about. Yeah. Thank you so much, Smita.